Yeah, I mean we're only like a minute late, but
Yep.
we should be live. So here you go.
Okay. Well, looky here, man. I'm so glad that we were able to finally get to this day because sitting in a hotel room on Monday night and Tuesday afternoon, there's so many things I wanted to see and say and do about the Rose Bowl. Emotions are all over the place. I shouldn't have been looking at Twitter and Instagram and everything else just because it gets me fired up on what people say when they don't know what they're talking about. And so we're glad that you're going to be in on Teague's Take, where we can give you a good analysis about what we saw uh, and try to back some of it up with film a little bit. You know, it's our job to be objective. We are Alabama people, and we do love our school and the football team. But there's some things that we want to show that we felt like we could have did a little bit better. Okay, so we got a very special guest on tonight. I'll introduce him after we get this thing going. I apologize if my voice starts cracking up a little bit because I don't know, maybe the travel and stuff got me going. I got me a little bit of hot tea while I'm going here. But what we're gonna do, you know, what we're gonna do. We're gonna start Teague's Take right now. All right, big shout out to everybody once again for being here with us. Yes, I do have some hotty toddy things in my cup. Maybe just to get over some of the stuff. I'm probably not sick. I probably just feel a little bit of sick because I really thought we had a good chance to win that game. Couple big shout outs really quick. First, though, I need to say thank you to the Alabama A Club. BJ Stabler do a tremendous job of getting all the former players together. It was great to see some of the former players before the football game. Got to see Derek Lassick, uh, you know, spend some time with him, and there were many others. I saw Ephraim Thomas, man. It was kind of cool. I hadn't seen him since way, way back when, so it was kind of cool to be able to do that. Thank you to the AD, Greg Byrne, for all that you do with helping us get situated at those games, particularly when you got a big one like this. So I'm very thankful for that. Um, some other people that I'm really thankful for, of course, as always, my family. JT, I thank you for everything that you do. But we want to give a very special thank you to a company that has been supporting us and will continue to support us over the time. So, JT, if you don't mind, let's give a little shout out to Beaches LLC because this concept they have is very unique. Let's see if we can let it roll.
All right. Or not. I didn't look like it's rolling. So give me a second. We will pay these bills. Let's do it like this. Well, well, you're gonna have to give me a second to troubleshoot because that one's not pulling up for me. So if you want to bring in our guests, then I'll figure out where that video went.
We'll do that. Why don't you do that? I want to go ahead and bring in this very special person because man, he's already fired up. He's been sitting in the back. We had a little pre-show talk and doing some stuff. But I need to tell you a little bit about this gentleman first because he's very intriguing. You know, so the way I kind of we started to develop our friendship, and we don't talk about it enough. Is probably when we were actually doing some work for uh, the Under Armour uh, Bowl.
Yeah, you had a camp out there. I remember we went one time. Well, I went one time
Yeah,
out to Arizona.
yeah, we did a lot of stuff together right there. And he actually gave me the opportunity to come out there and work with them and meet some of the people and be around some very high profile athletes. And so that was kind of my first stint of really getting around high level football like that. And then I actually had him come over and coach with me some too at Carrollton Christian Academy. I don't know if he helped us at Shelton um, or not, but he does a lot of big things. We played together with the Dallas Cowboys. He won a Super Bowl there as an offensive lineman. He's really one of the largest human beings I've ever seen. We talk about Jonathan. We talk about Jay Scott all the time, our friendly offensive lineman from Texas, but Big George is is just as big. And, they're both just as athletic and have done tremendous things. He's also a tremendous motivator. If you ever need someone to come speak to your company or talk or something like that, if you want someone that can keep the crowd moved, you want to talk to this gentleman as well. He's a businessman. I know he was trying to be an AD, and then he went to work for the NFL Players Association. He spent 5 years with IMG. We're looking forward to some stories he has to tell there as it relates to Alabama as well. But I like to call the man a friend outside of all that. So if you'll give a round of applause and go ahead and bring in Mr. George Hegamin. Yes, sir. Big
Nicely
boy.
done.
Big boy.
Nicely done.
Yeah, I can't remember how many miles you told me that you had to get from your house to North Carolina State, because that was one of the most powerful talks that I heard. 1,000 something, 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 and another. All I
Yeah.
know, it was really, really good. So how's it going, man? How you doing, big fella?
Man, Teague, man, it's always good to be on with you, man. And it's 1,271.8 miles, which is the exact distance from Camden, New Jersey to North Carolina State to the Dallas Cowboys in the third round. Man, but hey, look, I'm better than I deserve, man. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. You guys make sure you give him a follow as well. Why don't you go ahead and give me your IG, because you do a lot of great things there too, and your Twitter handle.
Yep. So both of them are George Hegamin at George Hegamin. Is both of them that and TikTok as well. Coach George. Coach George recommends on TikTok. George Hegamin on IG and George Hegamin on Twitter.
All right, all right. Well, we do appreciate that. So, JT, whenever you're ready, you just interrupt and you tell me how we want to go with that, because I'm going to keep on trucking
Yeah, keep on trucking, keep
while we
going,
do this.
because I might have lost a little bit of data here, so that video might be missing.
All right, no problem, no problem. Okay, so we are. The purpose of this show is to really be able to talk about the Rose Bowl. We've been teasing about what are the three things on what we thought the reason on why we've lost the game. We do have some film. We're going to have Coach George on here with us to really give down some in-depth conversation of what was going on with that. But I wanted to point out a few things first that I thought was interesting. Uh, well, first of all, someone tried to come at me on Twitter. A dude he was talking about our last show, and so we're worried about our Michigan trollers that are always trying to get in and you know not like facts or stats and things of this nature. And so they didn't necessarily like the way we were displaying some of the stuff, which I think we were very fair with JJ McCarthy and Blake Corum last week about it. And so after the game, of course, put some respect on our people name and all this kind of stuff. And I said, man, all we're doing is just giving you the stats that's out there that we're getting from reliable people and sources. They're real. We're not making it up. Sometimes we have opinions on this show, but a lot of times we try to back it up, especially with the analytical one, James Teague. He he always keeps it real with that. So this was an even match, and this is where I was going with, and you guys can listen to this. The offensive plays were very, very close. Bama had 66, they had 59. Yardage ended up being pretty close. We had 288, they had 326. The yards per play was still kind of close. 5.5 for Michigan, 4.4. Neither one of us were good in third downs. We were 3 for 11, they were 2 for 11. They did have a little advantage in fourth down because they got both of those, right? Now the passing yardage, they kind of whooped us a little bit, 221 to 116. Yards per pass, 8.2, 5.0. We outrushed them, 181 to 132. But here's where I start to get into this, and I think George and JT can talk about this because it's
Well, before you get
always.
into that,
Mhm.
we got to pay the bills.
We're gonna go to the beach.
Pay
Y'all
the
really
bills,
need to.
baby.
Y'all need to really pay attention to this, because I didn't hear about this until recently, and I want one of these. I don't know if you can't even call it a pool. It's a pool, but it's not a pool. So y'all
And
check
then
it
and
out.
then when we get on the other side, Linda Derry has donated $5. She's got a question. Um, I don't know if we want to answer it right away, but I know we will answer it later on in the show. So let's do this first.
Let me tell you about Beaches LLC. Yes, Beaches LLC is your source in the state of Alabama and the Florida Panhandle for exquisite quartz sand beach pools by Biodesign USA. A Biodesign beach sculpted pool is crafted with beach entries, customized seating areas, and swimming zones, and they all can be personalized to your swimming needs. The Biodesign swimming pool is meant to immerse you in your surrounding environment. The illusion of a truly beautiful beach can be created and extended onto the patio area, creating one seamless shore environment. Let them help you turn your dream backyard escape into reality with an eco-friendly, more durable, less time, and less expensive to maintain, totally customizable pool. To learn more about turning your dream into a reality, please visit their website at www.yourbackyardbeach.com. All right, there is the magic, baby, of the pool is not a pool. That's what I'm gonna say. I'm not the biggest fan, but you need to make sure you check out this website. Go see them. It is gonna be awesome to do that. And I see you put this question up here, George. I don't know if you have your glasses on. You can do this because we are gonna answer this,
Did you
okay? On why do they look so confused, huh?
was that a dig or you actually wear glasses?
No, he and I were talking about it before.
Yeah,
I just got my NFLPA cards where I can go get me some free vision,
that's
some
right.
tests and some glasses and this kind of stuff. And I was trying to make sure that he had it, and he just reminded me that he's already taken advantage of the perks that
You
I've
got to
been
do it,
slow
man.
on, that I'm slow on. So he's got some extra large contacts in
Extra, extra large.
the size head that he got. You know, he got to put some. Hey,
Oh,
there's a 3
But I
liters
can't
jumping.
see. I can't see out of them, so I got to take them off.
So that's crazy. So let me get back to some of these deals of what I was going to, right? And we're going to answer this question. So you keep that on hold. All right.
okay.
So the explosive plays, this is where it got to me. Alabama had 9 explosive runs. We're calling them explosive runs, 10 yards or more. They had 9. Okay. Um, Michigan only had 3. So that seemed like it would have been favorable for us. But on the explosive passes, that's 15 yards or more, Bama only had 1, which I thought we might end up some more with that. And we'll kind of guys go into this on why the price blocking probably didn't work. Michigan ended up having 6. So when we get down to analytics of this, JT will love this statistical type of stuff because everybody, all the average yard, the target passes by both teams were like 8.6 for Alabama and 6.0. So it's yards after catch, missing tackles, things after that nature. Both teams had 13 possessions, right? But we gave up 7 sacks and some bad snaps. I don't know if we call those sacks or not. Okay. So those are some of the stats we need to keep in mind with this. So let's go ahead and answer that question. JT, put that back up there
All right,
real
I'll bring it
fast
back.
and we'll you can read it, and then we're gonna let
Yeah.
George
It
answer it
says,
first.
why did we look so confused in the first half? Is it players not adjusting or bad calls? Why aren't we consistent every week? Not the same team that played Georgia.
Yeah, so just kind of digging in it from a coach's perspective, and even more specific than that, speaking from the trenches, you know, I think what you saw was you saw Michigan do a really good job of keeping Bama in a bind. And here's what I mean by that: keeping them in a bind, meaning making them have to think at the point of attack what their responsibilities were. And when you do that, you this is what you get, regardless of the talent that you might have. So if you're unsure about what we're doing, what's the call, exactly who we have, you're going to see even some of the greatest players look like this is their first time doing it. And that was one of the things I said looking at the first half of play is, wow, Michigan's really doing a really good job of in the most critical situations keeping Bama's front in a bind. And they did it the entire game, especially when it mattered, which ended up being the difference in the game.
Okay, so I do need to go and tell everybody we're going to use a different format with this. Normally we have all talk and then all video at the end. I feel like we need to mix both of these in here at the same time so that you guys can kind of see about this. Okay, you good with that, Mr. Producer and JT?
Yeah, yeah. Just
you're
give
good
me the
with that.
cues and I'll get it going.
Okay, so then with that, if you can pull up at the first play, this is early in the game, and you can see their defensive alignment.
Oh yeah,
Right.
this is the one I was talking about pre-show. This right here.
Yep. So I think we might have picked the same uh, type of play. But anyway, if you go ahead and let it run, I think this one ends up in a sack, right?
Yep.
So you can see him get.
Yeah, we might have. Yeah, we might.
taken.
I think I picked this play too. Whoops. All right, we'll skip it when we get to that's okay.
Okay. So if you go to the back end, or go ahead and let it get to the other end. So I want to get Coach Hegamin, to talk to us about this on what the linemen.
If we could
do.
take that back to the start, JT, really quick.
You want the wide
Yeah,
copy?
go to the wide copy. Go to the wide copy really quick. So if you look at the formation, you got 2 by 2, meaning you have 2 receivers on both sides, and you got a back end pro formation. Okay, let it run. So stop it right there, JT. So if you stop it right there, this is what you see. You see an overload on the right side. Okay, so from a quarterback's perspective, from an offensive line's perspective, we know that we only have 5 to block whomever's in our box.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, instantly, this has to be a hot route. This has to be a hot route. That's number one. The second thing you got to look at, when we do get to the end zone, you'll see that there was confusion on the right side as to exactly how we were supposed to pick up the coverage. Even with that being said, you got one more coming than we can block. So we had to take the hot route on this. Okay, take it to the end zone copy, if you will.
All right, we'll let this run and flip over here in a second.
Yeah, it will flip.
Here we go.
Boom. So stop it right here. So if you stop it right here again, so here's the thing about it. At this moment, there needs to be communication about exactly how we are going to pick up whomever comes. So with this, I ran this back a few different times. I never saw the communication between the front as to how we were going to handle it.
Nobody pointed, right? I was looking away.
There was no identification. There was no identification. So right here, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, this has to be a slide. This has to be a rip to the right side. If nothing else, just by the way they're lined up, that tells me exactly what it is. Okay, run it.
Yeah, you got a 2-eye. What is it? This is a 4-eye. I guess we're gonna call this a 9. I mean, there's a whole 9. Man right here.
Right.
So and then there's nobody in these 2 gaps. So
nobody here. So even if this is a 4-man slide, there needs to be a 4 or 5-man slide. There needs to be some communication. There was none. So it's confusion. It's confusion from the beginning. Okay, so run it. Back motions out. We got one more coming than we need to be. Now, so instantly, we need to call this a rip. We need to call this a Roger. However we're going to do it, but we don't do that. We got one free. The quarterback needs to see this. He needs to know exactly where he's going with the ball right now. And if you watched it from the sideline copy, you see the back is wide open. He could pick up 7 to 10 yards right there.
Yeah. So do you think this is like called a big on big, just when you go straight back like that? Because it looked like our center started to go right and then changed his mind.
So he did. It did look like it was big on big in the beginning. The interesting thing about this is the right tackle he's in a bind regardless of what he does. Takes the outside guy, we got the inside guy wide open on him. He tries to take the 4-eye, which leaves the outside defender wide open, but then he gets caught in the bind because they run a stunt. He ends up blocking nobody.
You got to take one of them, though, right?
You got to take one of them.
You
got to take one of them. But more importantly, though, you got to communicate which one we are going to take. Look at this. Look where the defender is more so than that, Teague. The defender is 12 yards away. If that ball's out right now, that's one-on-one. That's what you want.
Yeah. So I know one thing we'll probably hear is, well, he's, and this is what I've noticed, at least from watching this, is that it seems like he doesn't have full field reads. He has half field reads. So his first read was over here.
Was
So
over to the left.
I mean, we
Exactly.
can see the stripe on his helmet looking this way. He has no idea the back's even over here.
Yeah.
That's fine because if you look at Burton, this ball should be let go on the sideline
Right now.
right now.
Right.
And yes,
Right now.
he's probably going to take a hit from this corner because this corner does come down. He's probably going to take a hit. He might not get any yards after the catch, but it's whatever down in 3. So that's fine. Just a simple pitch and catch. Ball should be out right now. He hitches. You know, he's waiting for Burton to get there rather than
timing.
You know, 1, 2,
It's
throw the
timing.
ball.
It should be timing, and it wasn't. I don't think. Here's the thing, and it's nothing to take away from the young man, take away from Milroe. But here is the difference between his progression as a quarterback and a J.J. McCarthy's progression as a quarterback. And I can speak to this intimately because I also had J.J. McCarthy at IMG on our national championship team.
So go back to that because a lot of people hadn't heard what you said about that before you start talking about this. So again, Coach Hegamin was at IMG as a director of football operations. I think that was what his title was.
Right.
And so he got to be around some of the people and seeing guys when they were getting recruited and coming in. So he's actually has a pretty good story here. If you don't mind telling us about how your connection to some of the guys at Alabama.
No, absolutely. So the interesting thing is, I believe there were 8 players on both teams that were in the national championship game between Michigan and Alabama. J.J. McCarthy being one, Greg Griffin, who's a reserve offensive lineman for Michigan. You had J.C. Latham, who's the starting right tackle, who actually just declared for the draft today for Alabama. Also with Tyler Booker, who's the starting left guard at Alabama. Here's the thing, and I mean, I want to give Coach Kevin Wright, all the credit for this, because when I started at IMG, I started as the national team offensive line coach. 2 of the players that I had met when I first got there were Tyler Booker. Well, actually, I knew Tyler from coming to the Under Armour camps, and then J.C. Latham, who showed up a month before I got to IMG Academy. Here's the interesting thing. Both of them started as defensive linemen. It took me probably about a practice and a half before I ran to Coach Wright and told him, I said, listen, Coach, you've got 2 surefire first-round draft picks playing out of position. And he looked at me and said, he's like, they're in high school. What are we talking about? And I told him, I said, Coach, Tyler Booker, J.C. Latham will be first-round draft picks if they become offensive linemen. So to his credit, he trusted me. He allowed me to take them under my wing. We worked diligently together at IMG for them to become the players that they are. The greatest thing about it is that they bought into it. They understood exactly what kind of work it was going to take to become the players that they become. But the thing about a place like IMG is when you have the opportunity to work with top-tier talent like that, schools like Alabama, Michigan, the schools that compete every single year for the national championship, they want kids like that because the skills are transferable. As soon as they step on campus, they're ready to play. That's exactly what you saw with the Tyler Booker and a J.C. Latham. And on the other side, I know we're talking about Bama, but J.J. McCarthy, who showed up already as a pro, to be honest with you. And you could see the difference between the way he plays quarterback and other kids play quarterback around the country. He just understands his concepts. He understands exactly what he's doing. And I think that was also the difference in the football game.
Yes, sir. Well, we do appreciate that, and we appreciate the knowledge that you're bringing to Teague's Take. This is the type of stuff that we try to bring you on the show. Real stuff, real talk, not just fluff. I hate when people do that. So I'm thankful for you, Coach Hegamin. You already got people in the chat already saying, man, how do we get you to be the O-line coach at Alabama. He said we ain't paying enough money, man. He didn't pay. He getting that
Wait,
NFL money.
time out now. No, time out. Listen, please don't sell me short. Don't sell me short. Nick, call me. I just gave you my Twitter handle. Let's go.
All right. Well, we do that. Well, we know a lot of people that are very close to the organization, and maybe we can get your name in the hat right there. Okay,
so I want to go back real quick, because there was a question or a statement in the chat that does look correct, but I think when we kind of analyze it just a little bit, we may have some differing opinions. So John O'Connor says, from this look, should have run it to the left. In this view, the left of the offense, obviously, right? Because what he's seeing is these two open gaps, which looks fine from the pre-snap, but the post-snap picture is very different.
They're going that way. They're slanting
Right.
that
Going
way.
that way. They're slanting that way.
Right.
That's right.
Right.
So now,
Here's I didn't mean to cut you off, JT, but here's the thing. Most times when you see an overload, there has to be a replacement.
Mhm.
There has to be a replacement. Now, I know from the initial part of the snap, looking at that, you're saying, well, why didn't they run something to the left? Well, two things. They didn't have a check. Number two, you see the back scatting out the backfield. And number three, you got to understand, you got 25 seconds to get this play off. And if you notice, most of what they did towards the end of the play clock. So it's almost impossible to make a check in that type of situation.
Yeah. Because I mean, they're still moving around, right? You still got guys with snaps about to go, and now you got the back going. We're already too late, but you also, I guess, you never know who's actually coming, right? Because this could be
25,
a
23.
or a creeper where this dude drops out, he goes here, he stays in this gap. Maybe they just slide back over. He reaches inside, and I don't know. I think there's somebody standing out here. Maybe they send him on the blitz.
But again, so my only pushback with that, JT, is this: we got a month to figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was literally 4 weeks before they played their last game and this game. I think it was even longer than that. The other part of it is that once you look at tendencies, this is probably not very different than what Michigan had already been doing to other teams. So with that being said, and it was one of the things I always look at from a line coach perspective is, what could we possibly get? You always have to understand what the what ifs are. And you got to teach what the what ifs are, because if you don't, you'll have situations like this where big game, critical period, something's not going to get picked up. Why? Because we just didn't rep it enough.
Hey, Coach Hegamin, let me tee you up again real quick, because we kind of briefly talked about this before. Ed Adams says, do you think it's a center problem for not communicating the 4-man slide? Because I don't know if Milroe calls the protection like Bryce did.
So he doesn't call the protections. Okay, when you say like Bryce did, you got to understand, we're talking about Bryce Young. That's number one, right? We're talking about somebody that had full command of the offense. And Milroe, he's somebody that's still learning the progressions. In my opinion, and again, this is armchair quarterback coaching after the game is over. In my opinion, I think you still keep the signals coming off of the sideline. That way the line knows what they have to do. All Jay has to do is figure out exactly what his reads are, and we go from there. In my opinion, I think that what you saw was too much probably put on the quarterback, it not necessarily being translated with the center, and the center giving it to the rest of the line, so it's figured out in time. That's, to me, I saw that all game, and that's the one of the things I feel like you just can't have in a critical situation.
And I don't know that this is true or not, but based upon that, what I heard the players talking about and Nick Saban talking about is how they had to change the way they were getting their calls in because they were worried about signal. People looking at hands or signals or something of that nature. Not saying they were cheating, okay, but it was saying they were conscious of, hey, we need to do something different, so they're not knowing exactly what we're doing. Okay, so let's can we go to the second pass protection one? I would like to get his analysis on this one as well. They actually sent 6 from the back end, or on their back end. They actually played zone behind it. So we talked about this a little bit before last week. We were saying, hey, that they probably weren't going to play that much man. And so I don't know if this is confusing to Milroe or not, but they're short of zone again. So I
Yeah,
want
so
you
they're
guys to.
probably playing a little bit of hot coverage here, or what I'd like to call eyes. But
Mm,
Well, it goes into
mm,
what you're saying too. If you go back before we talk about the rush, if you look at Black 84, who's the tight end who's attached,
yeah, let me put a circle on him because
yep,
he's the hot read.
that's the hot read right there.
correct.
Meaning when you know you didn't got enough or you're getting too much pressure, you can see he puts his hands up like immediately, like he's almost
Immediately.
kind of waiting for the ball, like, hey, I'm here because they are one zone short. I mean, he's
Yep, throw it
open
right now.
right now.
No one's there but the
and then-
referee.
yeah. So that's one piece from the back end, and I know JT was talking about that maybe a little bit pre-show, I believe.
Yeah,
as well.
and again, you know, just looking at something like this, you got 3x1. Again, even if it has to be understood by the quarterback where to go with the football right away, just by front. Meaning, I understand that my offensive line has these guys that are in the box. Who's the one that I'm responsible for? So in this specific case, the end man on the line of scrimmage is who the quarterback is responsible for. He's got to know immediately where that ball has to go. Obviously, it's the tight end coming across the middle. Nobody there to tackle him but the referee.
Yep. Okay. So that's one piece, and we talked about the rush and could he get up the middle of the field. There was nowhere for him to go, and I think he wanted to try to take off a little bit. But let's talk about what they're doing up front, Coach. You know, because we do see that the back is going to try to take number 15 off the other side. So I guess I don't know what you
So pay it. Go back to the top. Pay attention to exactly what Michigan did an excellent job of all game long, which very rarely did you ever see them do a straight rush. They never did a straight rush.
They're always going to rip to one gap or the other, and then bring somebody and loop somebody back.
Two bar around.
So they number one, that is their defensive scheme. Number two, the other part of it is that just from a coaching perspective, you could tell that they knew that this gave Bama problems. And it did. It gave Bama problems all year long. So now you think about this, to go back to what you talked about, Teague, thinking that there was going to be an issue of getting their signals figured out by putting up signals on the sideline. That's something different that you're going into a game with. Knowing that pass protection has been an issue for you all year long. And then number three, having some athletes on the other side of the football that can execute a scheme that they've been doing all year long would do nothing but create these types of issues. And that's exactly what you see.
Okay. So how would you look at this though? And I'm looking from a purely just as a defensive back, right? I seem like I saw a guy on a guy, even with the twist by the guy. So is that a positive play for the offensive line, and it's really more on the quarterback? Because they did pass.
They pass it up. They pass it off on the left, which is probably the best you can do. You see the back trying to track over. This is purely in my position. We've got a guy on a guy. We've got a positive pocket. What I mean by by a positive pocket is that he can step up in the pocket and he can make his throw. You see the edges are protected here. Listen, this is where it's never going to be completely clean. But in this type of situation, again, it's recognition of where the ball has to go right now. Yeah, it's about as good as it gets.
Okay, and that's what I thought. So when I put this on here, I just thought it was a good job of them actually passing it off, because they didn't pass off all the time, and I didn't know this one. It just looked like they had pretty good vision, and I wanted to make sure that we pointed that out because you got to get rid of the ball too sometimes to help those guys out, right? All right,
absolutely.
But we still saw the cover 3 on the back end.
Ooh.
All right.
Ooh. This is excellent. This is excellent play calling by Michigan right here.
So let's set this up. Let's go back and talk about. So one of the things that we did give a lot of love to was Blake decorum. We spent more time talking about his run game, which I think we did a very good job of shutting him down. I think it was what would he have?
I think it was 89 yards.
19 carries, 89 yards or something. It wasn't, a blockbuster, but he had two big passes that
Yeah.
stung us.
Yeah.
And this is one of them. So there's two pieces that we need to talk about this. One, maybe the design from the offense, but we got to talk about how this matched up on the secondary, and I'd be interested. So me and JT don't really talk a whole lot about some of this stuff beforehand, which I think helps
Actually,
a
we
little
don't
bit for us.
not really at all beforehand.
No, we don't talk about it all. So we give you our takes on this kind of stuff. We just kind of share the plays, and
Yeah,
so he
just in
can
case
put
the
them up.
audience doesn't know, most of the time I am seeing this for the first time and giving you what I think right now. It's definitely not rehearsed.
That's right. But one of the things that we've always talked about with our defense is not covering the running backs out of the backfield. Oh, yeah. Now they did cover the back. I'm not saying it was like every single play. We had some plays on here, but this one, I mean, you can see linebackers pointing and saying, "Hey, there he goes," but
Yeah. Who you got? Who got him?
nobody goes. And so, uh, first of all, let's talk about the guys up front. We had a 4-man rush, and I'll let George give his opinion on this. I think we ran a twist on both sides. Yeah, we run TEs on both sides. Their offensive line looked they were ready for it and kind of picked it up. Anything alarming there, one way or the other, or George up front?
No, no. The thing about it, and I thought Michigan. This is where I feel like I was the most surprised about the football game. Now, I will say this: I don't think that Bama's D line has been the best it's ever been this year. But also going into the game, I did not think that Michigan's offensive line would have handled the defensive front as well as they did. And a lot of this has to do with individual play, but mostly scheme, right? So yeah, you look at this, you see a double twist, both sides, they pick it up, the back's wide open. You can't ask for better than that.
Okay, so now I want to get to JT on this back end. All right, so at first I thought it was cover 3 kind of ish because both the backers are kind of sitting, but then our left corner lets a guy go, so that's what I'm thinking 3. But our right corner goes with the man to man, and the slot guy
Mhm.
I think
goes
it's
with the
quarter.
man
I
to
think it's
man.
quarters.
So I'm kind of, okay, and it could be quarter. So in that case, so anytime we have stuff like this, and I'll try to explain this the best I can, and JT can elaborate on this. When you have people that are running with men up the field, wide receivers, if the number 3, whoever ends up being the number 3 guy, goes across the formation, the backer has to pick him up. He has to. He's got to run through traffic. He's got to do this stuff. And this case is about to be number 2. So one of our backers has to get through there, and we're basically pushing. So they got drags, and they got all this stuff coming, right? So somebody has to go through, and I think that's why we see the finger point, but we don't actually go through. Another one that looks like it seems like what George has been saying before. You see, look at the point on the finger right there. He's pointing,
Yep.
but they're both
Yep.
standing right next to each other. So it's another piece of confusion, and I don't know. JT, what do you think about this?
Well, it's a pick play, which I hate, but it's in the rules, so you can continue to do it because these two dudes right here,
The tight end was trying to get to the backer.
they are not running a route. But that's fine. I'm really interested to understand what the coverage is, because the way I'm looking at it is like if everybody's zoning across, Kool-Aid thinks he has number 1. Like
Malachi
both.
took 2.
No, I'm talking about like actual number 1 and the number 1 receiver. But I guess where my lack of like what the coverage actually is I'm trying to figure out. It's like my instincts are like, you don't have to chase this dude inside because look where he's at. you are a corner that's lined up inside the hash marks.
Right.
I feel like you should already be thinking, all right, this dude is probably going out, and then he's not, right? So he releases, he goes up the field. You don't have to necessarily be on top of this. I feel like he could have kind of went here.
So you feel like he could have trailed a little bit. Is that what you saying?
Right. Because now his threat is if he's running in, like the threat is the corner route. And you
gotta stay outside.
And you can sink under this and make JJ McCarthy have to throw this at the pylon. Right. But by doing that, which this is what I call a sail technique, if he actually sails out this way and the back comes across, not saying that you're gonna get a PBU, but this is a tackle that you can make. You give yourself an opportunity to make a tackle and be able to sink on this if this is your problem. Because he's coming to get the safety. These two are just trying to wall off the linebacker. And now you're leaving this guy here, like you said, having to run across the formation, and he's already 2 yards behind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it ain't gonna happen. That's what, and he's right. And so when I was saying 3, what it should have been, but quarters is probably right, as in JT said, just the way that our safety. I said 3 just because the free safety was sitting right there in the middle, but he could be looking to try to get this over by number 1.
Yeah. So just a thought, and just this is where my mind goes in general when I'm looking at this and thinking that they're at least playing.
But look where Kool-Aid ends up. Kool-Aid ends up on the other side, though.
That's some kind of quarters principle here when you have trips is he's got number 3 vertical. He's got number 2 vertical. Well, he actually ends up moving in here. So let me get to the final set right here. Okay. So he's thinking, I've got number 3 if he goes vertical. I've got 2 if he goes vertical. I've got 1 if he goes vertical. And his rule is probably MES technique, MES, man except short. So that means if he runs his drag right here, I'm zoning off. I'm looking for something. Yep. I'm looking for something trying to hit me in the end zone. But now these 3 guys have to communicate, or they have to figure out how to sift, because we know that Saban likes to pattern match. So if you get 2 across and 3 across, and this is maybe what Kool-Aid's thinking, is like, now I'm manned up on 1 because these guys are going inside. But now if they're all going, you got to trust, 1, that somebody's coming back out here, because that's how it always works. Football is not that hard. You got 3 guys going this way. Somebody's going to come out. And there's only 1 receiver over here. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 guys to handle 3 guys coming across. And if you leave, which is what happens, we talk about football math all the time. If you leave and you're the one guy that's going to be able to defend the flat, and you leave and you go this way,
nobody out there.
God save the queen, I guess.
They got to come. So anyway, I just thought that was interesting because when we're talking about the 3 reasons, so the first reason of why we lost the game, right? So Hegamin's was basically that we were put in a bind. It was one of them, right? Can I say that?
Yep.
Right. Which has a lot to do with coaching. Mine going there for some of these plays was also I thought we had too many sacks. So our offensive line play, we showed a couple of those. JT, what was one of yours that you would like to divulge at this time, if any of?
I mean, we kind of talked about it already. It was that, to me, Jalen Milroe doesn't look like he knows where his hot reads are.
Okay. All right. Not knowing where hot reads. That's good. Okay. And so my second one, the reason why I wanted to point this out is because I thought that we did not cover the back in the most critical times. This is right here on the goal line. We know they're going to try to get the ball to Blake Cohen, whether he's going to run it, throw it, or something. He's their red zone guy. And then we're going to show you another play right after this where he had a really big pass reception. But I want to see if you guys want to go ahead and tell us the second reason George Hegamin Second
Yeah.
reason why you think we might have lost.
No. So my reasons go one on top of the other. So being in the bind, it normally makes. Now I always look at this. Keep in mind, this game went into overtime. So this wasn't so lopsided that what we're seeing caused one team to just do things so much better than the other. This game went into overtime. So here's what it is. It comes down to the most crucial things that are 9 times out of 10 some of the most simplest things. So we were talking about bad snaps earlier. Like this is one thing that you just cannot have up front because it throws off timing, it throws confidence off. And when you need it the most, when it needs to be the most simplest thing that you do on offense and you don't do it right, it kills you at the most critical period of the game. We talked about 2 bad snaps that happened back to back, which totally killed your momentum. And then the last play of the game, you look at a bad snap that threw off timing on a play that had he gotten the snap right, he has a very great chance of scoring.
Whoa. Don't get ahead of us now. Don't get ahead of us now.
Okay. Listen,
Don't get ahead of us
you know me.
now.
I'm passionate about these things, man.
Don't get ahead of us now. Slow down. Okay, so yes, and we'll get to that. I think JT has a couple clips of some bad snaps, but let's go ahead and run this other pass to Blake Corum. I think it would have been right after the one that you just showed, JT, from my set of clips. Yeah, should be right after this. This is a 3rd and 2, was it?
3. Well,
3rd and
3.
the scoreboard says 3rd and 3, I think.
Yeah,
But
so 3rd
2,
and 3,
whatever. 3rd and short.
very similar type formation here that you just saw on the other pass play. Honestly, move him over, but I mean he's headed to the flat right now, and
right now,
I don't.
Nobody knows who has it.
Yeah. So I expect again just basic rules here again, camp rules. When you're gonna try to play zone and pattern match things, and this is at least in my experience, this is very hard to get linebackers to remember because they're always looking at something else.
Yep.
But again, just taking quarters principles again because it's the same look that we had down the goal line, right? It's actually the same formation, just they're in minus territory instead of in the red zone. They've got the back is it's 3-by-1 and the back is set weak, right? So this is not quads yet.
Not yet.
Then when the motion happens or the shift, whatever you want to call this, now it's quads.
Linebackers.
Quads right now.
Now it's quads. So this guy right now, I'm always telling him, hey, you have to tell these guys out here that it's a push alert. And what this means, what the push alert means is, because usually if it's 2-by-2 and this back leaves, he goes like this or he goes like this, I'm saying, hey, linebackers got that.
Right.
So let me help with that. So JT is talking about our backer and the safety who's to the left of him. I think it might be Caleb.
Yeah, this is Caleb Downs.
I think that's Caleb. So basically, he's saying those two have the tight end and the running back, and they should be passing those off. But he should be talking, saying, "Hey, if this back goes out the flat and the tight end comes inside, I'm going to take him." I think that's what he's saying.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking it's probably supposed to be Malachi, but I don't know. But it's
but check it out. You'll see.
It's going to be one of these two.
And based upon what happens when you let it roll, you'll see our safety start to squeeze and then change his mind. But he's picked by about that time, or not comes off. So go ahead and let it run. If you look at Caleb Downs, he started to squeeze on the tight end, which number 30 picks up.
Yeah, because I think this is their stress concept again, or they actually probably run stubby or special, because that's usually what they base out of when they get trips. Which means again, he's got vertical of number 3. He's got this guy. he's got 2 out and up, and then he's got 1. We call him man outside and deep or man on demand. But that's all negated when you get a back escaping out. You say, we're pushing. He should be yelling, I don't know what his keyword is. We say push, push, push. And we're telling him, all right, I'm pushing over my zone this way, so I'm going to end up picking up number 3. You need to now pick up number 2 coming across, and you need to bump out and take the flat. You've got the back.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And again,
it's just a lot of thought process. You got to see it. If ever, but it's what we talked about all year long. If you're not on the same page, big plays happen like this, and so no one covers him. You're gonna just let it go, and he catches it and he runs the ball from 35. And this is late in the game where if we just stop them, we win. If we force them into a field goal, but that is a huge play at the most critical point.
I think the other, if I can jump in, I'm gonna definitely let you guys do the coverage thing. But the one thing I want you to pay attention to is pay attention to number 1, what's happening up front. There's not a lot to sift through up front, right? There's absolutely not. I mean, we know it's 5-on-5, number 1. So here's the other thing. The other part of it too, go back to J.J. McCarthy. This is somebody, back foot goes down. He knows exactly where to go with the football. That's also the difference. But with not having a whole lot to sift through up front in the beginning, he already knows who has who. So I'm covered. My back's probably going to be wide open. As soon as the back foot hits the ground, the ball's out.
Yep. Okay. So JT, is there any other plays before we show the last play of the game that we need to talk about to close the show out with? Is there? So I know you downloaded some more or uploaded some more.
Yeah. Let me.
You may want to show.
Let me try to readjust here because my is a little bit bigger for some reason. So let me get this fit up the way it's supposed to.
Look at our producer putting in work on the fly, live.
Live.
Yeah, well, we don't go back and edit nothing. Don't change nothing. What you see is what you get, dog.
Yeah, I ain't got time to do all that. So
no, we don't do that. Okay.
So this is another one. We're just talking about hot reads here. You get the play action, and you got to know when you got somebody in your face, you got space. Mm-hmm. You got a whole logo's worth of space, and if you feel like you can't hit that, if you say, "Hey, I can't get it over this backer and under the safety," which I think you surely should be able to make that pass. You got this guy right here. Just even if he doesn't break a tackle, he get a couple. At least get you 2nd and 6.
That's right. That's right. Now I want to. That's a great point, but I want to hear Coach George's take on this move down here at the bottom too, because I don't know if there was some confusion again. If you want to show the back end.
The back end is better to see.
The guy that actually makes the play, because our left tackle and left guard, or it's really the left tackle. Yep. But I think he's in a 4-eye. So again, I don't know how hard this is on a tackle to take this inside charge. And how does 52 know which way he's supposed to go? If he's supposed to go help the center, or if he's supposed to help the tackle? That's my.
Again, it all should start with what the call was. Right now, in this case, if you look, you got the center who's manned up here, right? He has a guy right over his nose, so he can't help. He has to go one-on-one. The protection has to be slid out to the left here, but for whatever reason, there's confusion. There ends up being confusion in terms of who has who. And then by that time, you've already seen the D lineman make penetration here, and he ends up getting pushed into the quarterback's lap. So this is how it all goes together. As soon as Jay sees color, I guarantee you his eyes comes off his read.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. Yeah. He's thinking I got to get out right now.
I got to get out right now. So I'm no longer thinking about what I have. I see color. I got to go.
Right, and you got a high-low on the linebacker right here. You got 23 looking up the deep route, which is the one he should be taking, because Lord knows if Milroe had time and he steps up on this one, this is the throw you do not want to give up. Right? So he's got his eyes on the right guy, but he's trying to leave.
So this is nitpicking, right? This is nitpicking. The other part about quarterback play that I appreciate is if I understand exactly what my coverage is and something breaks down, it's always the what if that I have to know if I'm going to be not just a good player, but an elite player. Because in this case, he sees color and he escapes to no man's land, as opposed to doing exactly what you just said, JT, being able to step up in the pocket wide. Here's what I'm talking about. I know I have this running back over here to help with any leak on the outside.
So you're talking about going right here.
Yeah, so step up in the pocket if I know where my reads are. Now, again, this is nitpicking. This is me in my house 3 days after the game looking at it on film. But again, these are the things that make the difference in a big game like this.
Okay. All right. JT, you got another one?
Yeah. So this was just a positive here. We talked about running QB counter correctly.
Yes. Finally hit it up in there, didn't he?
Straight
up the field. Good Lord.
Happen when you actually follow your pullers. Which is going to be a recurring theme. I think that's what the authors call foreshadowing. Because at the end of the game, we did not follow a puller.
Man, I was like, you just gave us a softball toss to go right to the play.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
All right,
let's go back. Go ahead and talk about let's finish talking about that one, because some people will probably miss that. I want them to see the play that you just talked about on pullers. Right, so we've been talking about this on the show too, Coach Hegamin, about a lot of times Milroe, when he had the pullers, he still would try to run outside or around the pullers. He wasn't trusting going inside. Right. And this is the very rare chance that JT's showing to you here, that while these guys pull and wrap, he actually hits it up in the hole and doesn't try to run around those guys. Now he's one.
So it's a couple things. If I go back to the front, JT, if you go back to the front, there's a pre-read on this, right? There's a pre-read on this. If you look at this, I've got a one technique to this side. Oh, this is a play. I'm saying this is a play right now. If I get this down block, I know I got the puller coming. This is nothing between this. There's the shit. I should be able to hit my head on a referee's hat right now because of the way the alignment is right now. So that's an easy read for the quarterback.
Okay. Yeah. So he's just saying block down. That guy jumps all the way outside but gets pinned anyway. So it's a great play. Right. So we want to see you into this, and why I think if you want to go back to JT, if you want to go ahead, we're at 9:15 now. So
okay.
If you want to go ahead and go to the last play. So I know it'll take us a little bit of time to get through this. On what happens and why I said I thought the last play of the game was the right call. While I was at the game, I was sitting in the stands, and I do have to say that I was telling Consuela and the Michigan fans right next to me, there's no way we don't put the ball in Milroe's hands. I don't see how that would be possible, and I was expecting empty, which they basically end up in. Said, hey, give him some kind of chance to just count and start looking. Do he throw it? Do he run it? Which ways he run it? Something. And so immediately afterwards, I started getting texts, what a trash call and all this kind of stuff. And I don't feel that way about this play, because
the play was there. It was there.
It was there.
It was there, man. Now I'm going to nitpick again, right? And I've been called a homer for this because I'm probably a little bit of a homer. Here's the thing. I just feel like the play was run the wrong way. That's my only.
Hold on. When you say wrong way, you mean direction, or you
meaning
you should have went to JC Latham instead of Booker?
Think about what. No. That's not what I'm saying, JT. What I am saying is utilize both of their strengths. The best puller is Tyler Booker. the best down blocker is J.C. Latham. So create the duo on the right side. Have Booker push out. Let Proctor be the hinge guy on the back side. But you put J.C. Latham in a position where he's hinging. Booker and Proctor are now creating the duo block on the front side. But even with that, it does not work if you don't snap the ball correctly. Here's what kills the play. After all that being said, the thing that kills the play is the timing of it. The ball is low. The ball is a bit to the right. He has to regroup.
Yeah, because he
his
might
feet.
actually have this might actually be an RPO where he's supposed to at least look
and see if
over
it's there. Right, and look and see if it's there. But he can't. All that gets thrown out when the snap is low. Now all he's doing is reacting. And you see him do what? The same thing he did out in the field, run straight up the field. He does not look at the hole at all because he can't.
No, so go back to that. Oh, this is a good angle right here because what you need to see is well, first I need you to see number 25, right? Is he actually takes off with the running back. So that takes one guy out of there. If you can head back a little bit, and this is where I think you're right on the bad snap. I can see myself panicking a little bit too if I was a quarterback and
that's enough.
And you're just like, oh my God, bad snap is fourth down. You got too many things going on, and to be in a big stage like this, to have the bad snap in the most critical play of the game, I can see.
To his credit, to Miro's credit, he is saying secure the football. That is what he's saying, secure the football, which he did. But now, with that being said, his eyes aren't on the puller anymore.
If he follows 77, is all we're trying to say. Because the safety ran up the field.
He ran up the field. He's not.
If the safety takes a good angle and like surfs and comes right off the edge, then there is no play. But he didn't. He left the gap way too wide.
Can you draw that up, JT, on what we're talking about? That guy to the left of the screen, he runs up the field.
Yeah. So if he takes a path that looks, let me get my arrows. If he takes a path that looks more like this,
correct,
you shrink the gap because you have down blockers and you want to make gaps as small as possible. But
he's gonna get blocked anyway, 77 if he comes in there that tight. But anyway,
his angle is like this. He's running past the ball carrier and ends up not mattering, but.
And then if you look at I don't know, that's number 9. I mean, he's squeezing so tight. 77 has him wrapped.
He has him wrapped,
right? Because this usually would be a kick out, right? He's trying to get in here and then push him out that way. But 9 ducks inside, so now you don't have to do that. You can just wall them off.
You know what George Hegamin always said that I heard him say a lot was get into the line on the pull.
Into the line,
right? I mean, he's trying to hit him with that left shoulder, but if he squeezes down in there like that, I don't know what you guys' terminology is that once you can't get in there, just
it's run. I think everything else is run perfectly. The safety doesn't make the play. If anything, he gets dragged into the end zone.
Okay.
But again, he's thrown off by the snap. It's unfortunate because that's not even his footwork. That's the thing. That's not even the quarterback's footwork on this play. But his footwork has to get adjusted because he's trying to secure the football.
Okay, one last little thing, and just because I see it on the hinge block, I don't want to spend too much time on it, but 65 at right tackle. When you're trying to do these hinge blocks and you have something like this, what kind of coaching do you give him at this point?
And this was my exact words to JC after the game. Like, he literally called me like 10 minutes after they got back into the locker room. So if I'm hinge blocking and I'm hinging in the field, I know I have time, right, to secure the B gap, because that's exactly what a hinge block is. I'm securing to the B gap or I'm securing to the next defender inside. Then I'm turning and looking back outside. The difference between being in the field or being in short yardage and goal line is everything happens that much faster. So I have to shorten up my footwork, shorten up my vision, and be ready for anything coming off of the side. This to me is a moot point for a lot of different reasons. Could he be firmer on this? Absolutely. However, he's also not expecting the quarterback to still be right side of the line of scrimmage, right side of the formation on this either. So a lot of unfortunate things happen on a play that all started with the snap being too low and to the right.
Yep. So, and I thank you for saying that because I was listening to some other people talk about this, and they were actually trying to blame 65, and I was like, no, I don't think so. I think
No.
what you said, the snap and the exit angle of Jalen Milroe because of the bad snap, not getting behind the puller. If he's behind the puller, that guy's probably not going to tackle him zero anyway. He's probably going to run
not.
through the tackle if
He's
he's
going to
even
run through him.
close,
Yeah.
and he's going to muscle his way in there. So that is why I think was the right call.
It was the right call.
Did not
Poor execution.
execute it the way that we should have. So, all right. So my three reasons were too many sacks, bad snaps, which I think were
Crucial. Oh,
they're like sacks.
they kill you.
Right?
They kill you, man.
I guess it goes down. What do they go down as? Just because they don't really know the play. It's just a negative rushing play.
Yeah, it goes as negative yards for the quarterback,
Negative yards.
which is
what's equivalent?
which is what they should do in the NFL, by the way.
What do you mean?
In college, if you get sacked, it's negative rushing yards for the quarterback. And it also counts as negative rushing team yards too, because you went backwards. But in the NFL, they just call them sack yards, and they keep them off the quarterback stat sheet and they put them somewhere else, and it doesn't go against any of the rushing stats, which is bonkers to me. It should at least if they don't want to call it rushing stats because it was a pass play, then it should be negative pass yards. That's the way I feel about it.
Okay, so let's recap our three reasons on why we lost. And if you guys can short it down to however you can, whatever you want. Mine were the sacks, right, which has a lot to do with the O-line play and all that. Too many. 7 sacks in a very critical game like this. Too much. And then bad snaps, right? You had another 3 of those at least that were negative in some capacity. That puts you in a lot of negative yardage right there. So the snaps were another reason that we lost the game. And my third one was not covering the running back in the most critical times. I think I went with that third one mainly because I know we've been talking about this for 2 to 3 years, JT, with multiple coordinators.
I was saying, hey, that ain't at some point it ain't the coordinator. There's a constant.
Oh, there you go. You talk about Marvin Constant. I see what you're saying there, but anyway, okay.
No pun intended, but if the shoe fits,
that's right. And JT, I'll let you go second. Your 3 were
my 3 were obviously bad snaps. That'll kill you. You had a pretty good drive going, and then all of a sudden it's first and 10, and the next play it's second and 23, and then the next play it's third and the moon. So that's an issue. Then you have, I'm going to go with lack of communication because you're up 7 points with 4 minutes to go. And you gave up 13 in the first quarter or in the first half. And then you gave up no points in the third quarter. And now with 4.5 minutes to go, what Saban say? You let them run through us like shit through a tin horn or whatever it was he said when they played Georgia Southern all them years ago. And then the third one is Milroe not knowing where his hot route is, because anytime that you bring 6 and you're playing zone behind it, somebody's open. It might not be all the way down the field. It might just be a little 2-yard dump off pass, whatever, but somebody's going to be open. And especially if you bring 7, by math, somebody has to be open if the back's getting out. So not knowing where the ball's supposed to go and not throwing the ball on time those are drive killers as well. So those are my 3. The lack of communication on defense, bad snaps, and Milroe not knowing where his hot reads are.
George Hegamin, your 3, sir.
You know what? Again, I just want to preface this whole point is that this game went into overtime again, right? So it was really a close game in terms of all the things that we think that went wrong. It still came down to the wire. That being said, confusion was the number one thing, throughout the entire game. So being caught in the bind, both on offense and defense, from Bama. The second thing is it's the snaps. Bad snaps, they kill a drive, they kill confidence. They it is the number one thing that you think from an offensive perspective that you just can't get wrong. And the third thing, guys, like quite honestly, it's just execution. It was just execution. I do want to throw a bonus one in there because we didn't say it the whole time, but I did think about it. Drive killers, bad snaps, but man, fumble the
Ooh,
fumble,
that's a
the
big one.
fumble
Oh yeah, I
was
forgot about that. Yeah.
huge.
Miro,
The
yeah.
the fumble
That was
was
another drive
huge.
killer.
It was a drive killer. But again, man, listen, you gotta give credit where credit was due. Michigan came prepared to be right in the most critical moments. I don't think you can discount that.
No, I
No, not at all.
100% agree. And so I think Mr. Hegamin put it the best. When you talk about this and you can kind of look at this through one view or one angle on what were we actually trying to say? We're trying to say Bama played bad and all that kind of stuff. No, we weren't because um, as I stated in one of my tweets on X, um, this was a very successful year for Alabama. I can sit here. I won't speak for these other two, but thinking we were going to be in the playoffs at all this year, absolutely not. When we lost to Texas, and then we struggled with USF, and we're trying to figure out our quarterback and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, man, we just, I was thinking we were going to lose 3 games, honestly. And I went and watched them play A&M and just kept seeing them getting better, but you see them just winning close games and going, and then things just kind of went. So I'm very proud of these boys and the coaching staff for putting this season together. You just, as a fan, you just kind of hate that at this one particular game, all these other things started happening.
Yeah.
Their coaches, Michigan coaches, did a great job. A big shout out to their fans; they were great, and we had no issues. We sat right next to a couple. I don't. They must have bought somebody's tickets because it was all Alabama section. They were right in there, and they were cool and they were fun. But it was a tremendous year. So we're looking forward to this as we go forward with Teague's take over the next few weeks. We're going to start to revamp and change because now we got to get into recruiting, and maybe we'll bring George back in to analyze some film of some of
Oh
these
yeah,
high
because
school guys.
you kind of tied into that trail now, so you get to see the guys firsthand.
Yeah,
Him and
yeah.
Don Z. I got to get Don Zalati on here. Let him to come talk about a little bit of something, something. Um, but so we'll do into that, and we'll actually start showing some film on some either transfers or
Oh
um,
right, yeah. So we
the
can
high
actually
school
find
guys.
film of transfers, but
Transfers, yeah.
if it's the high school guys, we're just gonna get the highlights, which is always fun to look at, but you don't actually get to see any problems, right?
Look,
That's right.
listen. If I'm a high school kid, you think I'm putting out there I can't pass block? I'm going to show you every down block, every double team, every hinge block I got. But I will say this though, from a recruiting standpoint, man, it would be better if you could get a kid's whole body of work to be able to make that type of decision on, especially with NIL these days.
That's
Mhm.
right. You're absolutely right. So make sure y'all hit that subscribe button. Thank you for the Bama Standard for always being great partners with us, allowing us to do a simulcast with them. Man, go. They got so much stuff going on over there, right? Please, please, please give them a follow as well. Continue to watch both of us because it's great Alabama content by a lot of great people between both channels. So JT and I will be back probably next week, and then you guys are gonna have to pay attention, and you're gonna have to hit the bell because we won't be on every single week um, throughout the off season. We'll be going every other week, but we'll be bringing you
Well,
more
maybe
film,
maybe I need
more
to do a poll
content.
because I mean we could probably just in in off weeks. I'm not saying that we got to go every week, but we can do some NFL film too. There'll be playoff games going and other things that we can just throw some stuff up there.
We might as well do it. If you're asking me, the Cowboys are still in it. We got to get some people. And there's probably some other people that want to do stuff, but I know our Cowboy followers will love some of their film because we do not break down any Cowboys film at all.
Anymore. We used to.
Currently on the anymore. But that's something we're thinking about and keeping under our wraps on how to make that work. So, George,
Hey, I love to be involved. I love to be involved if you do.
oh well, there we go. Now, me and you definitely can talk offline about how to make this happen, and we'll do some good things around the NFL
Sounds good.
as well. Big round of applause for Big George one more time for coming on and spending the time. Yes, boy. It's just like it's Twitter. Y'all make sure y'all give him a George Hegamin on Twitter and Instagram. I did say that right? Hegamin.
Yes, you did.
That's spelled Hegamin.
That's correct. That's correct. That's correct.
Okay. All right. Well, with that, JT, we're gonna go ahead and
No, John, we can't break down Steelers film.
So last thing,
Right.
I promise you this is the last thing because I did forget to say this. We did have a winner in our bowl.
Right.
Mania. I forgot what his.
I'll find it. We got to show him on screen because I was meaning to tell you that we need to tell him that if he doesn't pull up if he didn't watch the show, then he couldn't participate. But I didn't do that, so that wouldn't be fair.
So he did win. Fantasy football legend or fantasy league legend or something like that. FFL legend, could be Florida legend. I don't know, but whatever. He won the poll, the Mania bowl picks. Per the chat, he gets $31. He gets a Tide and Texas shirt and 15 minutes on the podcast. So I will be finding him to get him on there. John, on your fried check did win our 3-man pick, I believe, as well. He wants 15 minutes, but I don't know that we're going to give him 15 minutes because he's a Steelers fan.
There he is.
Put in the chats. Yes. So there it is. I really thought I was going to win it all. I think I took 5th in it, and the reason why I lost is because I picked Alabama and I picked Texas, and those two killed me. But FL Legend 707 will be in touch. Congratulations to you. So let's call it a night, guys. We'll see y'all next week, 8:15 p.m. Central Time, 9:15 on the East Coast. Love you guys. Thanks for all that you do. Peace.